Hello and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well and welcome to another vlog. Today I think I'm going to start vlogging some summer reads. I don't really have books that I picked out yet for this video. I think I have a few ideas of what I want to read in this video, but I'm going to make it kind of like summer themed and just read the new releases that recently came out for the summer that I'm really excited about, that I've been wanting to read, that I've been waiting for. We're going to do some summer mood reading, so that'll be fun. I'm really excited for a lot of the books that I recently hauled, and a lot of them are summer themed books. So I'm just going to kind of mood read and choose the books as I go. I did pick up a book last night, which is One Golden Summer by Carley Fortune, and I already got to page 126 last night, and I kind of stopped in the middle of a chapter because I got tired and I went to bed, but I didn't even finish this chapter. What chapter is this that I'm on? I'm like somewhere in the middle of chapter 18, and so far I'm really enjoying this book. This one follows the main character Alice, and she's a photographer, a professional photographer, and she lives in Toronto, but she's been vacationing with her grandmother and her family at Barry's Bay, and that's kind of what's pictured on this cover. And that's kind of like where she discovered her love for photography, and there was a photo that she's taken when she was younger of like this yellow speedboat and some kids on it, and that photo is kind of like what propelled her career forward a little bit. So she's now become like this professional photographer. She's got very fond memories of this lake, and it's like just a very nostalgic place for her. Okay, now she's 33 and her grandmother actually ends up having like a hip replacement, so she's volunteered to take care of her because she's really the only one that can like help her out and like kind of take care of her. So she volunteers to do so, and then she takes her grandma back to the lake to kind of like recover and help her recover. Now Charlie is there, and he's kind of like a handyman in the area. He fixes up their cottage so that like, you know, there's no hazards for the grandmother and stuff like that, you know, so they meet that way. He does have another job though, but he's also there at the lake, and I think he lives like down the street or across the bay or something like that. So they're neighbors, and Charlie's the love interest. I really like Alice. She's very relatable. She's an introvert, one of two introverts in her entire family. Everybody else is kind of like an extrovert, and they like attention and they like all of that stuff, but she's kind of like doesn't like attention on her. She likes to kind of like sit back and not really stand out. And she also goes into her passion a lot, like the thoughts behind her passion, which I'm really enjoying about the photography and how that makes her feel. And I'm really enjoying that because she's really relatable, and I personally relate to her a lot. So far I'm really enjoying the characters. I think they're really well written. Charlie is very generous and fun loving and kind of like easygoing, and he's got a really good sense of humor. Their banter and the flirting and everything is really good too. So I like the characters and I like their development and like the story so far. I'm also really enjoying the writing in this book because it's descriptive but not overly descriptive. It's like the perfect amount of descriptiveness without like overloading you. There are also a lot of flashbacks to the past, but like not too many flashbacks, so it doesn't overload you. I think Carley Fortune did a really good job with the writing and like just like the perfect balance of like past and present. It's like a really good amount of like introspection and emotion and descriptiveness, but not too much, but enough to make it like atmospheric, and it's just like a really good balance of everything so far. So I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm really pulled into the story. I hope it keeps going well, and so far I really like their dynamic between Charlie and Alice. The grandmother Nan is really cute too. She just kind of likes to set her up a little bit and see her granddaughter have fun and have like a good time while she's there taking care of her. So I really like the grandmother as well. I think she's sweet. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now with this book. I think this would be a really great beach read. Definitely a really good summer read so far. It's got really good summer vibes, like the lake and the cabin and everything like that is very atmospheric. So I will keep reading, and I will give you guys another update when I'm further along in the book. Hi, it's the next day, and I finished One Golden Summer by Carley Fortune yesterday, and this one was unexpected. I have kind of like complicated feelings about this one because there's a twist in here that I completely did not see coming, and there was a warning. There was like something that happened in here that kind of like warned you against it, but I completely decided to ignore it, and I just took everything at face value. So like I just believed everything that was happening, and maybe that's my bad, but it felt almost kind of like a low blow on the emotional front because the entire time I'm like believing everything that's going on, reading everything at face value. I'm kind of disliking Charlie because he's kind of portrayed as like this playboy, and he's got a history, and he does something in his past that makes him a little bit like unlikable. And then the thing happens, and then everything gets explained away, and then the tears come, and then you feel bad for not liking him, and he just like turns it all around. So it just felt a little bit of like a low blow to the emotions, and it just seemed like the twist, like the thing that happens to resolve everything, just kind of came out of nowhere, to me at least, even though to other people I don't think it will. I think maybe you'll catch on when you get like the inkling of like, oh, okay, I see. But I didn't. I missed it altogether. Like I read it, I remember reading it, I remember the moment that I read it, but I just decided to completely ignore it and didn't think anything of it, and here we are. And Alice, for the most part, I really, really liked, especially in the beginning, but when we got to like the halfway point and a little bit past the halfway point, there are moments where she's just kind of like almost begging him to be with her, and he rejects her a few times, and she just continues to like ask again, and I don't love that. So that kind of turned me off to her a little bit, both to her and to their relationship. I just don't feel like the relationship is like as pure as it should be if that kind of thing happens and like one partner rejects the other partner multiple times and then they keep trying to convince them. This one wasn't too bad though. Okay, so I watched a review of Problematic Summer Romance, and people said the same thing about Problematic Summer Romance, and now I'm a little bit like worried because this definitely wasn't too much, but it's still already like irritated me, and if Problematic Summer Romance has like a lot more of this, I'm afraid I might not like it, so I'm a little bit worried about that one, but hopefully it's not too bad. I'm still gonna read it, and I don't know if I'm gonna read it in this video actually. I might not. We'll just have to see. This is kind of like a mood reading vlog, like a summer mood reading vlog. So this was the first one I picked up. How am I feeling about the reading for this book? I think I want to give it a 4. I think I want to rate this one a 4-star. So overall thoughts on this, I had a good time. It was very entertaining. It was emotional. There were like nostalgic moments. The writing was absolutely amazing. I loved like the balance of like nostalgia and like flashbacks and emotional parts and descriptiveness and stuff like that. Like it was really, really well balanced in the writing. So I really enjoyed the writing. I liked the story. Just those couple of things that I mentioned that annoyed me, it was mostly just like irritation. It wasn't like something I absolutely disliked about the book. But overall, I had a really good time reading this, and I liked the story and I liked the characters for the most part. I don't think I have anything else to say about it. I think it's just a 4-star read. I had a good time. I would recommend it. So that's One Golden Summer done. And I think the next book that I'm gonna pick up is Left of Forever by Tarah DeWitt. This is a second chance kind of after divorce, marriage and trouble kind of thing. I think they're divorced and they're trying to give each other a second chance and see if they could work things out. So this one should be interesting. I've mentioned in my previous videos that second chance romances are hit or miss for me, so I'm really curious about this one because everybody loves this one. The reviews for this book are so amazing and really, really good, and like people seem to be loving it. I really hope that's the case for me as well, and I'm excited for this one. So this is going to be the next read. I will go ahead and start reading, and I will check in with you guys soon. So I started Left of Forever today, and I was reading this outside, but I needed to come in because I wanted to underline and tab something that I showed in the last clip. And honestly, I'm already loving this book. I didn't get very far in. I'm on chapter 5, which is page 50. So like literally just started, but it's already so good, you guys. I could just tell right now that this book is just going to be so emotional just because of the writing. There's already some humor in it, but like there's also so much emotion behind the writing, and you could feel it. And like there were moments that I was already getting like a little bit teary-eyed, and at that point I wasn't even on page 50, so like that should tell you something. I'm very invested in it so far. This is basically the second book following Savor It. I don't know what this interconnected standalone series is called. I think it's like called Spoons Oregon or something like that, but it's interconnected with Savor It, which I read in June, and this one follows Ren and Ellis Bird. Ellis Bird is Sage's brother from the first book from Savor It, and Ren is her best friend. And these two characters were married at a very young age, and they had a child together, and now they're divorced, and they've been divorced for 6 years. And he's a firefighter, she owns the bakery, and this has like two timelines. One of them is like the present moment, which is springtime, and the past timeline, which is last fall. Okay, so essentially what's going on is in the current timeline, their son gets into college, and they're trying to figure out like what they're going to do to take him to college and stuff like that. There's not really much going on in the current timeline because I'm not super far in. But then it flips back to the last fall, and essentially what's happening there is Ellis is out fighting a fire, and it's a huge fire on the West Coast, so I think maybe like California, Oregon, Washington, something like that. Either way, he's out there for a long time. It's going to be several weeks because like it's a huge fire, and he's working tirelessly to put out this fire. And then on Care Package Day, every firefighter gets like a care package, probably from their hometown, from Spoons, and he ends up getting a care package from her. And she obviously doesn't know who her package goes to, but she did include a letter in there because she wanted to find information about these two horses that apparently got loose in the fire. So it's kind of like last resort, her sending this letter to try and find some information out because she really cares about horses. And those two horses had like a special connection, and she was really invested in their well-being, I guess. And so he gets her care package, he recognizes that it's her, and he writes her a letter back basically saying that he's going to look into it, he's going to try to find the information for her. And then they start having like a little bit of conversation back and forth and kind of like a pen pal situation going on. So that's where I'm at right now. They've been sharing the letters back and forth a few times, and it's mostly been from Ellis's POV, and his side is so emotional. Like the way that Tarah DeWitt writes is just incredible. I literally had tears in my eyes at some portions of this, and it's so early in the book, and I just know that this book is going to get even deeper than that. And the way that he misses her and the things that he says like in his mind, and the way that he thinks and his memories of her and them together, it's heartbreaking a little bit. So I'm really, really invested in them, and I really want to know like what happened. It sounds like it was them kind of falling out of love, kind of like not being happy throughout the years because they got married so young and because they had a child so young. So like they've had some hard times, and it sounds like that was the reason why they divorced and separated. But this is a second chance, so we will see how that comes about. But so far I'm really, really loving this book, and I'm loving the writing. And because the writing is so beautiful, I'm sure there's going to be so many quotes that I'm going to be underlining, and little significant moments that I feel like I'm going to want to tab and underline. So I'll definitely share those with you guys, and then keep you guys updated with more thoughts as I get further into the book. Hi guys, so I wanted to do another check-in for Left of Forever because I'm quite a bit further along in this book. I'm on chapter 25, which is page 210, and I am really, really enjoying this. Now, I don't remember if I said this in my last check-in yesterday, but essentially in the present timeline, their son Sam is going off to college, and they basically have to drive him to college and drop him off there. And Ellis made a suggestion that him and Ren, after they drop Sam off, take kind of like a little bit of a detour and a little trip together so that in not so many words, it's to figure out if they can get back together, essentially, to see if they still have like those feelings for each other. They just both feel like they're not quite done with each other yet, and they kind of want to explore that a little bit more. So he made that suggestion, she agreed, and now they're on this trip together after they dropped off Sam and talking about the things that they needed from their relationship that they never got back in the day. They've been like high school sweethearts, and they've lived so much life together that like the history behind it all is just, you know, like you could never have that with anyone else, essentially. They're also using these journal entries and emails to communicate their feelings with each other because they're having a hard time like actually discussing their feelings to each other's faces. So they write it out like as a journal entry or as like an email on his part, and I think that's really, really sweet. And I am loving all this communication because it adds like this extra vulnerability from the person who's writing it, knowing that in the moment they could really get their thoughts out and get their feelings out in the way that they truly want to get their thoughts out and feelings out. So I think it's working for them really, really well. I think the entries are so sweet, and the things that they say in them are so sweet, but also honest and, you know, not like attacking the other person for any failures they may have had, but it just feels really emotionally mature. So I'm seriously loving the writing in this book. I'm loving everything that's going on. I also love that, like, even though they have a child, the child is kind of like an adult already and he's off to college and he's not really like a big part of the story right now. He is referred to quite a bit, like he is brought up, but he's not like a main character in the story. But so far, I'm really, really loving this. I love their mutual pining and the tension between them. It is so, so good. If you love mutual pining and tension and angst, so much angst in this one. So I'm going to keep reading, and I think maybe I'll be able to finish this today. We'll see, but I will give you guys an update when I'm done with the book. Hi friends. So I finished this book and this was incredible. I absolutely love this book. All the little blurbs that are on the cover here, 100% agree with them. They are completely true. Like Elsie Silver here wrote pure magic. Yes, this was pure magic, I would say. Elena Armas wrote a nice dose of angst, spine-tingling steam, and the kind of love that's etched into your heart. 100% agree. And Rachel Lynn Solomon wrote stunningly lyrical and side-splittingly hilarious. Tarah DeWitt is a master of emotion. Yes, I would say she is a master of emotion. She did such an incredible job with this book, and the way that she wrote the emotional intimacy between these characters is just beyond words. I feel like you could just feel their love coming off the page, like radiating off the page. It's just beautiful and stunning and heartbreaking and heartwarming and all those emotions. The writing is beautiful and lyrical, but it's not overdone. It's not overly complicated. It's not overly flowery. It's just like the perfect level of lyrical writing. And I loved how she always ended her chapters. At the end of every chapter, you just left wanting more and you just want to keep reading and like really rooting for this couple. Their story is just such a journey. They're like fated mates from a fantasy, but in a contemporary romance. It just hit everything. I wouldn't say that this is particularly a summer read though, because there aren't a lot of like descriptive summer vibes, you know, like summer scenes and stuff like that. It's more of like set in the spring, and then in the past timeline, there's a little bit of like a Thanksgiving scene. So I would say you could really read this any time of the year. It's not particularly like a summer vibes type of book, but honestly, if you're reading this, you're not going to care because there's just so much more to focus on in this book than the setting and stuff. It's just so much more than like a fluffy romance. This is not a fluffy romance. This is a highly emotional romance, and I was just teary-eyed throughout the entire thing. You just kind of have to read it and feel it for yourself to understand, because I feel like everybody's going to feel the emotions in a different way, but no doubt that it will affect you. And this one definitely hit me straight in the heart. So yeah, 6 stars for Left of Forever by Tarah DeWitt, a new favorite author, and this one might even beat out Abby Jimenez this year for top book of the year. Like, what's going on? How did this happen? I really, really hope there are more books in this series because I will devour them in a minute straight. And right now I'm just going to get all her backlist and start reading her backlist. I'm so happy I picked up her books because I love her. I do have Funny Feelings on my shelves that I've had for a couple of months now, or I think since last year sometime, that I haven't read yet. So I will definitely be picking that up soon and getting like some of her other books, because I think she has maybe like 4 other books on her backlist. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So she has The Co-op, Savor It, Funny Feelings, and Rootbound. I already have Funny Feelings and I already read Savor It and this one. So I'm definitely getting The Co-op and Rootbound, and I will surely be reading those soon. Yeah. So this is definitely a favorite. It is not one that I'll be forgetting anytime soon. I absolutely loved this book and I am rating this 6 stars. This is a 6-star read. Highly recommend recommend. Definitely pick up Savor It first and read it first because a lot of those characters show up in this book, but you will love Savor It as well. I absolutely loved Savor It as well. I think I rated that one 4.5 stars, and this is 6 stars. So that's Left of Forever, a new favorite book, maybe even top book of the year. Who knows? We'll find out at the end of the year, I guess, but I would not be mad about it if it was the top book of the year because this was amazing. The next book I'm picking up is going to be Problematic Summer Romance by Hazelwood, and I'm also very excited about that one because that is, I think it's kind of like an age gap romance, and it's the second book to Not in Love. I absolutely loved Not in Love. It was a little bit different, a little bit weird for Hazelwood, and the writing was different than her normal style. It was more of like an erotica book, but also with like very emotional stuff behind the scenes, and I just devoured it as well. You guys know I love an emotional book, and yeah, that one definitely hit. So I have pretty high expectations for that one, but I think I'll be starting that tomorrow because it's already like almost midnight and I need to go to bed. Hi guys, so I wanted to do a check-in for Problematic Summer Romance by Hazelwood. This is the final book in our summer vlog, and so far I'm really liking it. I'm on chapter 22, so I'm about halfway, and I am really enjoying this. This is the second book in the Not in Love series, or like they're like interconnected standalones, and this one follows Maya and Connor, and Maya is Eli's younger sister from the first book from Not in Love, and Connor is his colleague at the biotech investment firm that they've both created. They're like co-owners or whatever. So Maya is essentially 14 years younger than Eli and like 15 years younger than Connor. And Eli basically raised her. I don't remember exactly what happened to their parents. I think they died, but he was essentially like raising her and had custody of her as her older brother. So Maya and Connor have a bit of history because in the past, there's like a past timeline and a present timeline. And the past timeline takes place in Edinburgh, Scotland, and the present timeline takes place in Austin, Texas. And in the past, Maya was doing a study abroad program when she was in school, and she went to Edinburgh, and she was essentially living with a roommate, her best friend at the time, and her boyfriend decided to have a relationship with her best friend, and she was, having a really hard time with that. So she calls Eli for emotional support. Eli's not available, but Connor answers the phone, and he kind of basically comes to her rescue. And that whole situation is kind of like where her crush for Connor began, and she started developing feelings for him. Connor, on the other hand, same thing, but he is struggling with like the age gap between them because he still kind of sees her as being too young for him and that it's inappropriate. So like this whole age gap between them, the 15-year age gap, is like a very prominent thing in this book because that's kind of what's keeping them apart. He definitely has feelings for her. He's definitely interested in being with her, but he just feels like it would be an unequal power dynamic and that it wouldn't be in her best interest to be with him because of that. He's trying to restrain himself even though he doesn't really want to. I did hear reviews from other people about this book that there is a lot of like Maya trying to convince Connor to be with her and just like a lot of convincing going on, which I was a little bit apprehensive about that because that's not my favorite thing. I like the guys to be a little bit more down bad than the girl having to convince them to be in a relationship with them. There is a little bit of that so far. It's not terrible. So if that's the extent of it, it would be okay. But I am seeing a little bit of that. However, the writing is really, really good. It's just that classic Hazelwood banter and like like the humor that she infuses into it. This one feels a lot more like her older books, like her STEMinist books than Not in Love did. Not in Love had like more serious themes, serious vibes, whereas this one's more rom-com-y, more funny, more bantery, all those things. Maya is hilarious. She's unapologetically herself, which is really, really cool. And I just really like her as a character so far. And I'm definitely loving the banter. I really love being in an Allie book. It's like my favorite thing in the world, and I'm having the best time. So I'm gonna keep reading and keep you guys updated when I have more thoughts. Hi guys. Okay, so I finished Problematic Summer Romance, and I don't think I mentioned in my last clip, but the current timeline of this book is actually set in Italy, and I don't think I mentioned that. But I am finished with this book now. It was actually really cute, and I really enjoyed it. Like I mentioned in the last clip, we did see a little bit of her trying to convince him to be in a relationship with her, and it does intensify quite a bit during the second half of this book, which was a little bit annoying. But I will say that the whole reason why they can't be together is because Connor's principled view of not being with her because of the age gap and because of his history, and so like he's got a thing about it, and he's just like very principled. But it is very, very clear that he is into her and he does want to be with her. He does always seem to like engage with her and initiate things with her, and it's just like her being very clear with her feelings and then him kind of torturing them both. So I didn't really mind her as a character that much when it came to that, but I did feel like Connor should just kind of get over himself and just do the damn thing, because everybody knows that, like, you know, you both want it. So that did pull me out of the story just a little bit, like the constant having to try to convince him and then him reject her because of his principles and just like fighting with himself and torturing himself. But then once he made the decision to go all in, he was like all in. He was committed. He was just like a really hard nut to crack to like get him there, which was a little bit annoying, but for the most part it was still really good, really sweet, really funny. I had a great time and highly recommend for a good atmospheric summer read, because the setting in Italy was described really beautifully, like the beach scenes and like the little island and everything, and I just really, really love that. So I think I'm gonna rate this one 4 stars because it was a really fun atmospheric summer read, and I definitely recommend it for like the beach or the pool or wherever you're gonna be reading. So that's Problematic Summer Romance, and that concludes this reading vlog. We read 3 amazing summer books. I really, really loved all of these. First, we read One Golden Summer by Carley Fortune. This was a 4-star read. It was super atmospheric. I loved the setting at the lake, and this one also had really good romance in it. Then we read Left of Forever by Tarah DeWitt, and this one was 6 stars. I absolutely loved this book. I would actually say you could read this one at any point in the year. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the summer, because it does have kind of like a longer timeline. It starts in the spring. It also has scenes in the fall. So I would actually recommend you reading this anytime, but definitely pick this up because this was amazing. Such an emotional book, and the romance in this is just absolutely incredible. So this was 6 stars. And then finally, Problematic Summer Romance, which you just heard my thoughts on, and this was a 4-star. So I had a great time, and I hope you did too. Please let me know down below if you've read any of these and what your thoughts were, and also if you have any other summer book recommendations that you would like me to pick up. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. As always, all my links are down below to my Instagram, Goodreads, and TikTok, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.